How are we, gents? How was the weekend? Tank, you looking well, mate?
All good, mate. All good.
A little bit of a bronzy on you there, mate. You're catching some rays over the weekend.
No, do you know what is that, mate? I think that's blood pressure because I've been doing the Peloton bike for the past 3 weeks and I've done one this morning and quite close to explosion.
Oh, your missus' name was Sharon.
Yeah.
Jim, how are you, mate? You okay?
I'm good, mate. Really good.
You may have seen, lads. I have to tell you, well, probably tell you again, but for the sake of the podcast, I put up on Instagram. I took my daughter to a birthday party on Saturday. She was all excited, put in all her nice gear. She had the card and she bought a mate some sweets and lollipops and whatever, all excited. How long is it till we go to the party, Dad? 1 hour. How long now? 20 minutes. Okay, brilliant. So we get there and I don't know why, but like there wasn't cars arriving at this house. It was very quiet. So I was like, hold on, let me check the invite there. I took her on the wrong day. It was the party was on the Sunday, so I had to break the news to my daughter that we were going to go back. It was not Father of the Year.
Did you cry?
Close to it. I had to do it like think of a spin.
He
quickly.
did.
Yeah. Lads, have you ever done anything like that where you've picked completely the wrong day, made a complete balls up? Tank, you're nodding.
Yeah, not the wrong day, mate. I was the wrong year. I like that, Lee Evans, the comedian. So we got tickets for Lee Evans, arranged like my mum come up to look after the kids, put the kids to bed, goes into Liverpool city centre, books a nice meal, walks over, and I'm like, fucking quiet here, saying to Sharon, what's going on here? Having a pop at her, saying, you've got the time wrong. Yeah, I was like, you got the time wrong, you idiot. I said, look, it's empty, everyone's inside, so we're literally like power walking because we're late. I'm like, they shut all the doors, so we go round to the window and I said to the woman, we come to see Lee Evans, and the woman's looking at me like, have you? Proper like typical Scouse woman, and I knew she was mocking me as well, which made
yeah. Have you? Yeah.
And she went, have you come to see him tonight? I was like, yeah. I said, all the doors are locked, to be late. And she went, oh, no, love, you're not late. You're not late. Let's have a look at your ticket. She said, in fact, you're that early. It's untrue, she said to me. And I was like, what do you mean? It was like, I was a full year early to the date. And like,
who got the blame for that one then in the end?
Never spoke, mate, on the way home.
Very quiet in the car, Tank.
It was like, it was like a little bit of shame and disappointment.
Yeah. They're the worst ones. Yeah. It's the worst ones where like you're fuming, but it's your fault, so you can't say anything. So you just sit there.
Just sit humble.
What about you, Jim?
No, nothing of that ilk. The missus has done it on very similar. Took to a party on I think it was either the week before or maybe the day before. I can't particularly remember, but it was at a play barn anyway. So at least they didn't go to a house. So I think they just went in the play barn and someone else was there, luckily. So. Yeah, we've done that before, but I mean, I don't get involved in the parties. I'm all sports, so wife takes heed of the parties. Well, 9 times out of 10, I went to a swimming party on Saturday, but it was for our nephew, so not too bad.
Yeah, I always find those things awkward because, like, my missus was away at the weekend, so I had to go. And then when I went to the party on the right day, and they're like, oh, come on in and and I'm stood there. There's not another male in sight. I'm literally surrounded by loads of women and whatever. And it's like, I don't know what to talk about here. Oh, our place looks lovely.
Yeah.
And then my daughter didn't bring her shoes out first time. So then she had to go and find a trainer. So there was another 5 minutes of awkward small talk. I was like, oh, mate, get me out of this. Tank, you're doing talking of small talk. You're doing a talk with the Burnley under-16s later. What's that all about, mate?
Yeah, just Steve asked me to go in, obviously, with my background of playing and the pressures and that of the young kids. Because I realised that more, to be honest, mate, with Jack, the pressure of trying to get a scholar, and Jack had his issues, as we've spoke about before. When you're trying to get the scholar and they've got the GCSEs, and it's really like difficult.
Lot to juggle.
Well, it is because they're training 4 times a week, but 3 times training. They've got a game on a Saturday, and they're up and down the motorway, and they're trying to revise. And they just asked me to come in and, speak about my time as a player, my time as a coach, Jack's journey from, Burnley paid money for Jack when he was an under 12. and his journey. Obviously, he missed 2 years out when he had a little bit of a wobble. Didn't kick a ball for 2 years, and I just think they want to try and bring that to the under-16s and speak about agents, which for me, we're talking about some of the stuff what the FA not bringing, and I'm not going to touch back on last week's pod. They're talking about stopping the header and the ball and all palaver. I think just
easy.
I know. I just think that just as important stuff like this is the vultures who circle around 11 and 12-year-old kids as agencies. They're not needed. They're not needed. They're only in it for one reason, and that's themselves. They're just ticking boxes to try and get as many young kids signed up as an agent, and there's nothing what they can do whatsoever for them kids. Them kids need to enjoy it, have fun, develop, live life, grow up, and then when the money comes big at a later stage, I've had agents ringing me telling me about what they could do for Jack, and I'm like, mate, I played the top level. I know what Jack needs. I'm his dad. And they're like, but we'll be there for him. And I was like, and as you know, his mum's on the phone all the time to him, we're okay, we're actually there for him. And they're like, I'm not going to name him, but he was kind of like saying to me, but you know, he's going through difficult times with like his GCSEs and his football. And I'm like, I know.
I don't need you to tell me that.
I live with him. And it's just, it's a pet hate of mine at agents at Academy. I think personally it should be banned. I think it should be banned. And if you need an agent at 16, 17, 18, not even 16 for me, you know, when you're getting in around the first team and you're talking the contract and you need the, you know, different tweaks what you know an agent can get. So I'm just going to speak to them about that because there's agents at Burnley who are vultures who are around the kids at under 11s, under 12s. They've got a few nice talents at Burnley, and you know, they're phoning the club and saying I represent such and such at this age group, and you're like, what?
When you said before there that Burnley paid a bit of money for Jack, would you say 12? Did they actually pay to sign him at that point?
Yeah, they paid.
At 12?
Yeah, they paid a few quid for him from Tommy, yeah.
Fucking hell, mate, that's mad. Like, Jim, because it's funny, Jim, like I heard, I'm actually not going to tell me the people that told me this, but things that you hear through the grapevine, shall I say, you know, there's clubs now that could, in theory, say to parents, hey, we'll employ you as a driver. And in theory, that driver is taking your son to and from training, and we'll give you 30 grand a year or 25 grand a year. There's smart ways for them to try and get around, you know, the loopholes and get the top talent through the door. That's absolute madness, isn't it? If that's the, but I suppose just before you bring you in, I suppose the second part of that is, you know, if they sweep up all this talent, and even if they don't get into the first team and they sell them for 3, 5, 10 million, you know, you name the price, surely that's a decent return on investment. It's a bit of a minefield.
It's by any means necessary, isn't it? And it's the issue that I see is that, you know, football at that age, we're still a working class game, aren't we? And this is why agents are sniffing around these young kids and getting involved with the parents, because 9 times out of their parents will see this as a way out for themselves as well as their kids.
Yeah.
And I guess we're relatively lucky in the 3 here are fairly, you know, successful in their fields, and we've got a steady head on our shoulders. So, you know, like Tank said, when they come sniffing around Jack, he already knows what's best for him. And I'd like to think I'd be able to make the best decision for Archie if he ever gets to that stage, and I'm sure you will for Josh. But from a Premier League club, you know, that 30, 40, 50 grand a year is absolutely nothing. You know, it's a week's wages for one of the lower end of their players. To have that, you know, potential future star. But again, you know, how many of them make it? What was that? Who was that kid? Was it Sonny someone who was the Pepsi kid who could do all the kick-ups and stuff? Yeah, I think he was insured for £1 million. Never played a game. Couldn't hack it. Freddie Adu. You know, there's so many that are in that ballpark of being the next big thing and never make it due to the pressure. And it's always the ones that probably, you know, are middle of the road, but have the right head and the shoulders that fall through. I see it we've got a kid at one of Archie's. I won't say who it is, but I can just see he's not got the right attitude, but you know, he thinks the world's at his feet, and I know he won't be, because that was me. It was me. So yeah, it's a tricky one for parents, because if they're getting offered 40 grand and you're working in a Tesco's or whatever, not that that's a bad job. I'm saying if someone doubles your wages, you're taking it, aren't you, for your kid to go and play footy?
Yeah, it's a strange one, because particularly when you talk around the mental side of things, and Tank, we've spoke about this at length before, the pressure on young kids, but then even, I suppose, fast forwarding to the professional game, there was a story that came out in the week, and I know he's a good friend of yours, Chris Kirkland, who came out and did an article, I think it was with Henry Winter in the Times, where he spoke about his problems with addiction to painkillers to get him through games. I think he suffered with long-standing back issues. He's obviously had bouts of depression, which he's struggled with, and he was talking about how it impacted his life. This mental side of the game, whether it's in the 16s that you're going to speak to later, like Jimmy said, they're young kids who, are the pressure is being piled on them from an early age, but then right through to the senior game. There's so many stories now about the mental side of the game, and it seems like, and you spoke at length, particularly people coming out of the game post-football career, there's a big gap there in terms of the support networks for the players.
Yeah, look, the players today, it's better. It's not where it should be. Nowhere near that where it should be. You know my thoughts on the PFA. I think they're completely and utterly useless. They are. I've dealt with them quite a few times. I think I was listening to Chris Kirkland and I've read his interview, and he was open and honest about a lot of stuff, which he's done outstanding to come out, because if it feels like a weight's lifted off his shoulders. I'm going to meet up with him next week, actually. But he went to the PFA and got told that they'd be able to sort something out for him in the next 3 months. Well, that's too late. If he'd waited for the PFA, he mightn't have been here.
And he turned to them in his...
He turned to them. And this for me is where, I've literally got a major issue with the PFA. They're not the Professional Footballers Association. They're a money-making association, what's there for themselves and what they can get out of it. That's all they are. And I'll go against anyone with that. How can someone turn to your union, supposedly, and say, look, I'm in serious trouble here. I need your help, to get told, yeah, look, we can get you in here in 3 months. Let us know. 3 months. He's there now on his hands and knees. He's come to you as a last resort. How can you turn him away? So, but I think there's more help now. Not from the PFA, by the way, I'll add that. I think there's more help for the players nowadays at the clubs. Jack's got... I'm useless with titles, but there's a lad called Jack there who goes away with the scholars. They're away in St Andrews now on pre-season, and they've got this he's like a liaison officer, and checks
the welfare officer.
That's it, the wealth, yeah. And the lads, he done the induction night there, and the lads love him. He's a proper character. He looks like James Corden. He acts like James Corden. The lads, Jack's always like, I'm like, where are you, mate? So I'm going to get my haircut. Jack's taking me, and he bonds with the lads and fetches and carries them. He's also the support network for Jack now, and all of them scholars is there with them 24/7, basically. So there's a lot more, but that's from the clubs, nothing to do with the PFA. So, but going back to when my day, it was kind of, when I've struggled, we've done a podcast about my struggles, Jamie. I speak to a lot of players who have played with, a hell of a lot, a good 20, 30 players. And the problem what you have is you come out the game and then that's it. There's no you're a footballer, you're in training, you're the life and soul of the party, you're doing what you do, you're playing games, and the next day you're sat at home and you're like, what now? What's next? There's nothing there.
The PFA's issue is that that they think that because footballers make decent money, that they should be able to sort it themselves, like they should do it on. Do you think that could be it? Especially like someone like Chris Kirkland, because he's one of the more high-profile players, isn't he? He's played umpteenth Premier League games, and I don't know what his financial situations is, and I don't particularly want to know. But do you think they think, he can go and sort it Do you think that could come into it, Tank?
Personally, I don't even think that should be even in the thought.
I'm not saying it should.
I don't mean you, but the PFA. I don't even.
No, I know.
I'm
not saying it should be or it is. I'm saying, do you think it could be a reason around it, or do you just think they're just negligent?
I think they're unbelievably negligent. I've struggled with my knee. I had about 11 major surgeries throughout my playing career, and I emailed the PFA.
5 of them with the teeth, weren't they?
Yeah. And I emailed the PFA because you get, I've paid a fortune into the PFA over my playing career. They get percentage of your fees, what you get sold for. And I just emailed them. I spoke to him next play, and he said, "Go and get your knees done with the PFA." He said, "You've got like a fund there. You get such X amount." So I emailed him, and I remember the exact date. I emailed him on the April, and I got an email back in the December. I might as well have just chopped my leg off by then, waiting for them. So it's just, I just think that, listen, I'm not a fan of them. I don't think they're not a players' union. They're not a players' union. Gordon Taylor, everybody knows about him, the most corrupt man ever. So they allegedly. Well, I'll go on to say fact. No. For the sake of the podcast.
Thanks, mate. I mean, Ever's a shout, though. I mean, bloody hell.
No, he is. Listen, I put him up there with like Donald Trump and all that.
Number 1, Gordon Taylor. Number 2, Putin. Number 3, Mussolini.
He's well ahead of Putin.
There's the title for the podcast. Fucking out.
But listen, you're going to do when the new guy come in, he's all singing and dancing, makes all of these promises. He's going to look into the Gordon Taylor regime. As soon as he gets the job, that case is closed. Thank you very much. Let's move on. Oh, I'm going to buy a patent. The worst union in the world. Worst union in the world.
It's. I'm gonna take a slight side step.
Get off this.
Looks like you've been back on that Peloton bike there, Tank. Once you started talking about that. But one thing, Jim, I suppose just to finish on the mental health side, because one thing I actually found was really refreshing, and I do agree with Tank. I think clubs are very aware of it now. I know my nephew, who's been at Liverpool's academy since the age of 7. So he's been there a good few years now. There's so much done to support the kids. They're fantastic. It's definitely at the forefront of a lot of these clubs' minds. Do you think the stigma is ending a little bit, Jim? Do you think there's been a bit of a shift in terms of just generally now men opening up if they're struggling? Because I know it was very high profile at the weekend. Paddy Pimblett, after his UFC fight, put on a great performance and then used, I suppose, his moments in the spotlight to highlight that one of his mates had sadly taken his own life. And he used this opportunity, which I thought he should be commended for, to highlight the fact that, men need to talk more. Do you still think there is a big, massive stigma, or do you see things improving slightly?
I mean, don't get me wrong. They're getting better, but I think at a snail's pace. I think it's going to be a generational thing where, unfortunately for our generation, I'm hoping that the next generations in our kids will be able to do so. But I think, certainly by that next generation, because, you've still got the older generation. And I've witnessed it myself, where they're calling you fairies and they're calling you, get up, you fairy, or whatever.
I'm sorry for that time I said that to you, Jim.
Well, it's just language used, isn't it? And don't be a big girl and all that sort of stuff. That it's still frowned upon for a man. I mean, I cry at any movie, and I'll happily admit to that. And I can be very emotional.
Comes with being a parent, that, because you used to be a bit of a swinging brick heart, didn't you, over the years? And then
that was because I was, I bottled it all up. It was just because you didn't want to be that person to bring everyone else down. So I think the stigma is changing, but I think that the cogs have turned slowly and things like this. So I'm hoping that, our generation can teach our kids to talk around their feelings. And if you want to cry, have a cry. If you're struggling, let me know, and we can talk around it and what happens next. But gone are the days where it's man up, don't be a big girl, get on with it, sort of stuff. From our point of views, hopefully anyway. But the issue you've got is, and again, it reverts back to football. It's lower to middle England, isn't it? That's the thing, where a lot that will just keep churning. So it needs a big shift in government shift, isn't it? And more, especially within high schools as well. I think, I've got my wife's a teacher, so I know how much they struggle with kids of certain areas and mental health problems, and the stories you get told are frightening. You wouldn't want to hear them. So
education starts at home, basically.
It does at home as well, but it's schools, and the government needs to put something within schools where a welfare officer at school will probably be, and this is where I hear you talking around football clubs. Football clubs haven't done, I don't think they've done that off their own back. I think they've done it because they've seen that it needs to be done. Saying you take Love Island, for instance, before people started committing suicide off it, they, the well-being of their cast.
Yeah, they didn't give a bollocks, did they?
They didn't give a shit. Didn't give a shit.
No.
Whereas now, and you often see it around, the LGBTQT plus months and whatnot. People put memes up of companies like pretending that they give a shit about, that community, and then the month after that, it's gone again. So I think a lot of that is around looking to be doing stuff as opposed to actually doing stuff. So
we have to tread carefully because we're on the grounds of the woke community here, and I can see Tank's waiting for his moment. The world is ever so woke these days, and so anyway, I'm gonna bring up a less divisive topic, which is you two have been nitpicking all week about this one, and that's Jessie Lingard's new contract at Nottingham Forest. Tank, before I bring Jimmy in on this one, because I know you two have had different opinions, and I'm not going to sit on the fence either. I'll give my 2 pence worth when it's needed. What was your reaction to what is a fantastic contract for him? On the face of it, it's an England international that has been signed by a promoted club. It's all positives, you would think, for Forest.
I've just never seen a player, get this much attention to sign him for the club. It's just totally bizarre. And all did you see? I mean, that buffoon who I tweeted about, I found out, I don't even know who he is. He's just like some donut who's just speaking about football and nothing but he's a West Ham fan, by the way. So it just sounded like he was pissed off live on TalkSport that Jessie Lingard went to Forest rather than West Ham. Now, everyone's going on about that he's gone to Forest for money. How has he? If anything, he's made himself more unsecure by signing for Forest. Because if he goes to West Ham, he gets a 2 or 3 year contract. There might be a 10 grand a week difference, but he's got a 2 or 3 year security sat behind him. No one's ever thought about the fact that Jessie Lingard is a northern boy and doesn't want to move to London. His family's based in London, in the north. So I had the chance to go to London and turned it down because I'm a northern lad. So Forest was as far away as I wanted to go. So no one thinks about that. No one thinks about the fact that Jessie Lingard has just had one of the biggest nightmares of a season at Man United. By the way, he should have played a lot more than what he should. He was given no chances. No one knows where Jessie Lingard's head was at that stage where he's like, no matter what I do, I can't play. So does anyone actually think about that? He went and met the Notts Forest manager, who everything what I hear about him is he's unbelievable. He texts the players after games, how are you? Checking in Sunday, how are you feeling? So he might have sat down with Jessie Lingard, just might have put his arm around her and just went, I think I can make you the player you was 2 or 3 years ago. Here's what I've got for you, and I think you can give me this. We're a project, an exciting project, with a young team. We're signing young, hungry players, and you could be the pinnacle of that team. Would that not make any player feel 10 foot tall? He's probably walked out of that room after seeing the Forest manager going, fuck me, he's a bit of me and he's a bit of me. This is a club that will sell out every week. The fans will be with you week in, week out. We sold all of our players in the Premier League when we Forest, and the club, this is the first time the club's been back. We struggled that season. We got relegated. The fans were with us every single game. They sold out home. They sold out away. So Jessie Lingard's going to a club with a young, hungry squad, massive talent. He's got one of the best managers in England, by the way. The job that he done at Forest last season was phenomenal. And he's gone there and he's got a 1 year contract. If anything, Jessie Lingard's got more to lose in this deal than what Nottingham Forest have. So he's going to be the big player of a manager who's going to love and put his arm around and make him feel 10 feet tall, and he's got 120 grand a week, which is just the average wage now back in the Premier League, is it not?
And would you say, and Jim, I'll come to you on this one, because
we actually know that it's 120 grand though. Is that the actual figure? Because it's been banded around 120, 180.
Yeah, that's the figure.
Yeah, I thought I'd seen 200 somewhere.
I'd seen 180 somewhere.
Because TalkSport announced it was 200. If you go back to TalkSport's tweets last week when he signed, it started off 200, 180, 160, 140, 120. They're the biggest comical outfit that's on social media. With they've got some good people on it. The girl, Faye, I can't think of a second name, I tweeted about it yesterday. She actually come out and she's the most sensible person. Yeah, it is, yeah. She come out and what she spoke about was like, this is a great move for Forest and for Lingard. And she just explained her thoughts. Where you got a donut who's saying it's the end of his career. He's disrespected them. He's going to be hated at West Ham. And West Ham, he's cancelled the chance of getting silverware at West Ham. And are they in for silverware?
I suppose as well, you look at this, and Jim, I'll come to you for your thoughts on it. I suppose he's got the security, but it's perception. It's however you want to read this situation. You could, off the back of what Tank said there, look at this and go, the manager's also said to him, give me a year, Jesse. Give me a year. And if it goes tits up and we go back down, then look, there'll be I assume some type of clause or something in there somewhere where he'll be able to go on to a Premier League club.
No, Jamie, he's only signed a 1-year contract. This is my point. This is my point. It's not. This isn't a secure deal for Jessie Lingard. This isn't a financial security. This is a 1-year deal. He could have went to West Ham on a 3-year deal. So the kids took a massive chance as well, in my opinion. He could have sat there at West Ham on 90 grand a week, given a 3-year deal, given it all of his, what is it? He does that, is it, or whatever. Yeah, there you go. That. So he could have done that for 3 years, but he's not. He's gone on a 1-year contract. So he's got it all to prove. He needs to deliver to get a new club if Forest go down next season.
Jim,
I see you.
He's smiling.
Disagree, Matt. I mean, no. The first part of you what you were saying was absolutely spot on. I'm sure the manager's had a massive impact in this, and I'm sure that Jessie Lingard does feel 10 foot tall when he's standing on his new bank account. But
have you written that down and rehearsed that line?
I thought of it when Tank was saying it. I thought, wow, that would sound good. But as I've said to you, my only issue with this is, and it's not that he's chosen Notts Forest, and it's not that he's
don't say Notts Forest, mate. We'll lose listeners.
Well, Jessie Lingard said exactly the same.
Nottingham Forest.
Jessie Lingard called it Notts Forest. I saw the article. So Nottingham Forest. So he's choosing Nottingham Forest. I've got no issues with that. What my issue is, if I'm a Nottingham Forest player, right, and we're in the shit come January. Now, this is a high possibility that they could be in the shit in January. Lingard's on 120 grand plus incentives, right? So let's push it up to 180. And he knows
you can't just push it up 60 grand a week. You can't.
What do you think? Experience bonuses.
Okay, listen. The contract. If he stays in the league with Forest, the whole contract is worth 8 million. Right? The whole contract's worth 8 million.
Even at 120 grand, if I'm on 50 grand, right, and I've got a 3-year contract, I'm running my balls off because I want to stay in the Premier League. Now, Jessie Lingard come January, the only issue I've got is if Forest are proper in the shit, is he the player who knows he's on a 1-year contract that he's going to dig in deep and put in that, backs to the wall performance? Because, you can't say. I would say 9 people out of 10 would say no, he's not that kind of player. Now, I can't say whether he is or he isn't because he's played for Man United and he's played for West Ham and he's done fairly okay. But there's a reason why he's not played more for United. Now, at that end of that year, Jessie Lingard, 30 years old. If you think another Premier League team isn't going to come and swoop him up, then he's risking nothing. It's win-win for Jessie Lingard.
You can't say he's risking nothing.
It's win-win. It's win-win for Lingard. Because if he goes to Forest and does well, he'll get another contract. Or if he goes to Forest and does well, someone else will sign him higher.
Who's going to touch him?
If he goes to Forest and doesn't do well, he will definitely. Mario Balotelli is the worst. He's the worst attitude in the world. He's had about 85 clubs and he's a multi-millionaire. If you think someone isn't going to sign Jessie Lingard
in League 9,
if you're saying someone isn't going to sign Jessie Lingard come a Brentford, a Fulham if they stay up. If you think they're not going to offer Jessie Lingard a decent contract at the end of this year if Forest go down.
So will we have the same rigmarole what we've got now when he signs for Fulham? Say
No, because I think the next one he
it won't be 120 grand.
He won't be 120, but he'll be on 80.
There you go. That's amazing, that, isn't it? So he's agreeing what I'm saying. He's got to prove it. He's got to do it to get the move.
This move,
I think the point is,
8 million quid in the bank, Tank. He's 8 million quid in the bank. He doesn't need to then go and earn another 8 million.
Jimmy, he wasn't on peanuts at Man United, mate.
No, I know, and that's my point. And that's still my point. That is still my point.
So you're talking about players. Say, for instance, there's players who are only on 50 grand a week at Forest now. He's got 5-year deals, 4-year deals. Yeah. He's got a 1-year deal. So they've got the security of that nice 4-year cushion. So are we not going to speak about them?
I bet there's a relegation reduction clause in that.
But it will be with Jessie Lingard because he'll be earning nothing after that relegation.
He won't know, because if you're trying to say, I'll have a bet now, if Forest go down and Jessie Lingard leaves, I bet you now he will sign for another Premier League club.
Probably on about 30 grand a week. He could be sat at West Ham. He could be sat at West Ham.
30 grand a week next year, mate. Never mind.
Better get them agents. Better get older than agents. I just think the whole situation around it, it's comical. The lad's gone, if he went and signed for Fulham, would we be having this?
Yeah.
It's just
if
ridiculous.
The same contract, yeah, absolutely.
That's not a big contract in Premier League now. It's not.
For a newly promoted team on a 1-year contract, it's a big contract.
Spent over 100 million in the transfer market as well. People are forgetting this.
I think it's probably... It seems to be...
All he's going to be doing is coming dance, he's going to be bloody dabbing in the changing rooms, giving it all this while everyone else is bloody...
Nah, mate, he's not.
Jim, do you know what I find hilarious, right? I share dressing rooms with you, right? And you were the dabber in the dressing room.
Yeah, and that's why I know he won't put it in.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
Because I didn't put it in, because that's not my personality, and it's not his. It just won't be. So when back's against the wall, he'll be Forest's Paul Pogba. Now everyone was saying Pogba at United was just he didn't put in the shift he needed to put in. He was on 300 odd. I don't guarantee, because I hope they do well. But if they're struggling, I bet you'll be having this conversation about Jessie Lingard.
Do you know what? I think back to last week's episode when you two agreed on stuff and how calm and nice. And look at fast forward a week, it didn't last long, lads.
I just find that the whole thing around him, he's a good sign. Let's just take all.
No, I agree. I agree with that point. I do agree with that point. I think he is a good signing, and I think he's a good signing if they're doing okay. I think if it goes tits up,
that's it. Football, that's it. But it can go tits up anywhere.
But if let's say you sign Declan Rice, for instance, right? And I know you're not comparing apples with apples, but Declan Rice is in that team and they're struggling. He's gonna be putting a graft in.
See, I've never watched the Man United team, even when they've been struggling, and thought that Jessie Lingard doesn't give two fucks. I've watched him.
He's not played.
He has played. He's played a lot of games, and we went to West Ham. And let's get it right, he ripped it up at West Ham.
He was good at West Ham, and that's
9 Premier League goals and 6. Why?
He should have left after that. He should have left, and then we'd be having a different conversation.
So to wrap this one up, because we've got to do our predictions, right? I'll give my 2 pence worth. So you two are on opposite ends of the bookshelf. It's fair to say. I don't think we are that
far. But I think my point is very valid.
Well, that's usually how having your own point of view works. You've made a very good point there.
Valid and the best.
But no, I'm kind of in the middle. Here we go, fucking fence sitter. But I actually rate Jessie Lingard. I actually think he's a great player on his day. I think given the right platform, I think he's done great for England. I actually do think he works hard. I think that's one of the things you can guarantee, that he'll put a shift in. I think for me, again, it comes to perception. The challenge is it's the structure of the deal. So these 1-year deals on that type of money, I get what Jimmy's saying. There will be spotlight in it because it's Jessie Lingard, and he just seems to carry a little bit of extra weight or attention, like the Pogbas of the world. It just does. He's a character, and for some reason, people don't like overt characters. I don't know. It carries that extra attention. I think what will happen if Forest are struggling, it's an easy spotlight to put on him. And that's not his fault.
It's not,
it's not his fault. It's not Forest's fault. I actually think, all in all, I think it's a pretty good deal for Forest. They've got themselves an international footballer who is going to come and work his nuts off. I think he's got the quality, and hopefully he's got the type of personality and ability that will raise others around him. I just think there is always going to be that easy stone to throw come February when the chips are down. So be interesting to see how it pans out. So now, the
question I asked Tank last time was, if Tank was in that dressing room and you're bottom of the league come January, and Jessie Lingard's dancing around doing his J Ling sign, are you going to be happy? You personally, Tank?
If he was in your dressing room,
if he was in that dressing room,
if he was in my dressing room and he's putting a shift in and he's doing what he does, they'll have to go play.
If you're bottom of the league, he's dancing around doing TikToks.
I mean, let's get it right. He's not going to be doing all that, is he?
He's not at United.
United, you know.
United went bottom of the league and he was getting treated like a fucking idiot at United.
But my question still, just humour me and say he's doing TikToks in the changing rooms. You're bottom of the league, right? Are you going to stand for that as a player?
No, you wouldn't stand for that as a player. But what I think you're missing out is that Forest will finish mid-table next season.
Right, so predictions. Perfect segue, Tank. I like it. Hold that thought. You see the way I did that, lads?
I thought I did that.
Yeah, it was good, that. Look at that. Yeah, thanks for that one, Tank. So predictions, right? So yeah, in true Monday Night Football style, we've all pulled together our predictions. We'll see how this flows, right? Obviously, the topics that we're going to go through. So we're going to do champions, top four, so top four, top six, relegation, overachievers, underachievers, top scorer, young talent, and one to watch. I'm trying to decide the best way of doing this, but maybe we'll all go through them together, right? So
yeah, she never said relegation in the agenda you sent out.
Did I not?
No.
I no. Well, if you two had actually paid attention to the WhatsApp group underneath the screenshot I sent you, I said relegation 2. Did I not?
Okay.
Anyway,
I've done it quickly. Anyway,
I know. Yeah, it's not. Yeah, it wasn't. It really wasn't for me, to be honest. Okay, so I'm going to come to you first, Tank, for champions and reasons for champions. I reckon I can predict this one.
City.
Oh, wasn't expecting that, mate. Fair play to you. Go on, reasons.
I just think we've been talking about how good. Now, I have spoken on a podcast where I said that the way City play will have to be adjusted because they've had that six, if you like, front six, and the rotation and the movement is like, you know, sometimes you're watching it, you can't play against it, you can't stop it. The rotation between Foden, De Bruyne, Silva, whether it be Mahrez or Sterling or Jesus, whoever it is, it's just the rotation's incredible. I just think the signing of Haaland I just think that could be the, you know, you're seeing him the other day. How many goals did we used to talk? We've spoken this podcast going back a long time ago, Jamie, where you just used to say the ball across, and it used to be Sterling, didn't it? Or Sané, the back post tapping. And I just think Haaland's, he's just going to be, he scored one the other day, didn't he, against Munich, and you're like, how many of them is he going to get this season?
I genuinely think we'll see that goal, like that exact goal, about 30 40 times. Genuinely.
For me, I just think, I look at the play, they've lost Sterling. I think Sterling's a huge loss for them. And I've spoke about this podcast with Grealish. Grealish won't score 10 Premier League goals next season. He never has done, no change there. And they've lost 20 goals plus with Sterling, but I just think they've probably added 30 goals with Haaland.
Jim?
2 words: City, Haaland. That's it. That's all you need to know. As Tank said,
he's the missing piece.
I don't think he's a missing piece. I just think he's that good that he'll just fit into that team so well. And that, as soon as I saw that goal against Bayern, I was like, here we go. This is it. This is number 1 of 80 for this season. And don't forget, he'll do that for other players as well. So it's not just like he's going to be stood there. He will provide for other players. So I think they're just going to be too strong. I think Haaland's just a little bit more rounded and more adapt to the Premier League than Núñez will this season. I think next season will be different.
So I'm going to just throw a quick reverse at you. What happens if Haaland's injured?
Good question.
Well, it's not what happens.
Revert back.
When. It's when. He will miss. He'll miss 15 games this season.
So you think City have got with the loss of some of the players? Do you think, and potentially Bernardo Silva could be going as well?
I don't think Bernardo Silva goes. I think you'll see a lot of the Alvarez this season. He looked sharp in training for what I've seen. It's not like they've not got a bad front six to rotate of Mahrez, De Bruyne, Grealish, Haaland, Alvarez, Bernardo Silva.
To interrupt you there, Jimmy, I've seen a thing before. I forgot to send it to you in the WhatsApp group about City getting linked with Sané, bringing Sané back.
Really?
Really?
Well, there's talk around him signing that Cucurella still, and he plays as a sort of wing back forward player as well, isn't he? From Brighton, he's decent. So whether he comes in and fills in for Zinchenko, but could play a bit further forward as well, or move Cancelo further forward. I mean, he's not bad.
He's got the number 7 shirt now as well, which would suggest
that,
they've got plans
for a player. So it's not. I mean, I don't think it's going to miss too much if Haaland's injured. Don't get me wrong; it's a big miss because it's Haaland. But
I'll be honest, I was delighted when Sané left City. I thought he was brilliant. He used to terrorise us, so I wouldn't be delighted with him coming back. For what it's worth, you won't be surprised. I'm saying Liverpool. That would be a big surprise for you, Jim.
What?
Me reason, and I actually, do you know what? And I'm trying to be as honest as possible here. There's nothing between the teams, really. Like, we're having this conversation, and I agree with everything that you've just said. And I think that easily everything that you've just said could come true. And City could win the league by 3 points, 1 point, 10. It could easily happen. The only glimmer of hope, because the two teams are so good. The one thing I'm thinking in my head is I just feel like Liverpool won't prioritise 4 competitions anymore. I think Klopp did that last season, and for all that it brought us, it probably it weighed heavy on the legs of the players come the business end of the season. I think Klopp is going to go absolutely all out for the Premier League and the Champions League. And look, don't get me wrong, we'll still have a very good squad to look at the domestic cups. But I just think Klopp wants that league title and the Champions League. And I think we've seen it before. Was it the season when we just missed out on the Premier League? We come back and we're like rabid dogs the season after. I'm gonna go Liverpool. I'm gonna go Liverpool, but as I said, it could quite easily be City. They're 2 brilliant teams. Jimmy, top 4. Well, we'll do top 6, and I'll be honest, before you give me your answers, I found this really difficult.
I struggled on this. Now
I thought it was a piece of piss. This
did you? So I've gone City, Liverpool, top 2.
Yeah.
Now I've been umming and ahhing between 3rd and 4th, and then obviously 5th and 6th. So I've put Chelsea 3rd, but I'm reluctant around it because I don't.
Did you? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And this
old Tommy's having a whinge, lad. It's not all good. It's
no,
Chelsea.
And this is the thing. I mean, they've made some great signings, but they've also lost, Rudiger, Christensen, and this is why I think 3rd and 4th could split. I've gone 4th Spurs because I think they've got a great team, and I think Conte will have them whipped up into a decent outfit. The only thing I worry about them is lack of depth. So although they've made some decent signings, 5th I've gone Arsenal. I think they've spent some decent money and got a half decent backbone in, especially with Jesus coming in and getting in to score goals. And then from a 6th, I've threw the curveball out there. I've gone Newcastle.
Fucking hell, lad.
So
United are not going to be in the top 6?
I don't think so, no. I don't. I think it's...
Have Newcastle signed a player?
Yeah.
Haven't signed a player, have they?
They've got shoring up the defence, aren't they? Got that Sven Botman.
Yeah, they've signed him. Yeah, true.
Yeah, they've signed, and I still think they'll do more business. But I think
they will do bits. Yeah,
I think they'll do more, and I think, and this is more of a, I don't want to say the same top 6 as everyone else, as opposed to I genuinely think I just hope they do well. I've got family in Newcastle, so I just hope they do well, and I think they could be and I didn't want to put them as my overachievers, given that they've got billions behind them. So,
and do you know what? In the lead up to this show, friend of the show Graham Murphy was fuming. He's away on holiday at the moment, so I hope you're having a good holiday, mate. But he was saying that me and Tank were never going to put Man United in the top 4. And then here's Jimmy not putting them in the top 6. You haven't even got to me and Tank yet. Tank, who's your top 6?
City, obviously, you've just spoke before. I agree with you. There's nothing between Liverpool and City. And I just think if FSG would have had a set of bollocks and backed them and got the midfield players in what was needed, it would have been Liverpool, but we haven't. So Liverpool, 3rd, and I think that these are going to push Liverpool and City quite a way, is Spurs. He's got his own way. Conte, rightly so, he's a top manager. He's finally got Spurs to dip a few quid, dip their hands in the pocket and spend a few quid. He's running the bollocks off them the pre-season. That'll be a different Spurs team. They will go toe-to-toe fitness-wise with Liverpool and City. For me, they've got 2 of the best centre-forwards in world football, or frontmen in Son and Kane. And they will, yeah, no. They're playing him centre-half, mate. He blocks he blocks shit.
Yeah, he blocks it.
So I think Spurs 3rd. 4th, Arsenal. I think there were signs, we spoke last year, there were signs that Arsenal in certain games, you were like, oof, and then they've got something. Games they dipped away. I think they were still a youngish squad. I read an article on that Edu today, and it was quite refreshing. He was like, we knew we were going to suffer a bit of pain. We had players here on big money with bad attitudes.
No resale value as well.
And he was like, we've had to bite the bullet. We've had to pay them a lot of money to get out the club, but we've done that. And I just think, and they're not finished by the sounds of it. I don't think they finished the transfer business.
Yeah, he said 2 more Arteta wants them.
Yeah, so I think they'll. For me, I think Arsenal are guaranteed top 4.
Jesus, big word.
5th is Chelsea, and I was actually going to go for them lower. I know they've signed Koulibaly, whatever his name is, but
he did well there, mate.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. He's
been practicing.
Look, if they signed him 3 years ago, 4 years ago, I'd be like, that's a great signing, like a real great signing. That he's 32, is he?
31.
31. I was reading about Benitez. I read an article and Benitez said, look, he's a great defender. He says he has major lapses in concentration every single game. They've got him and Silva, who's, it's another season, another year gone by. He's he's old for the Premier League. And it's not just the fact that they've lost Rudiger and Christensen, who I like Christensen as well. Alonso wants to leave. Is it Aspilicueta, the captain, wants to leave. So I just think that they've decimated the back 4, and they've got rid of Lukaku, but still haven't solved that problem of the goal scorer. So they've got Sterling and who will score goals, but so I'm going to go for them. And Werner's a great player. And 6th, I threw a curveball in at 6th, and I've
Don't you say Forest?
No.
Lingard.
I've gone for the curveball. Wolves.
Oh no, they were awful last year.
No, they wasn't. They started awful. You have a look at the run what they had late on in the season, and I think the manager was getting his philosophy of how he plays. Wolves, I'm telling you, they'd be a little surprise package this season. I nearly put them 5th, but I just thought, no, I'll go 6th.
So hold on. No Man United for either of you in the top 6.
Just let me throw one back at you then, Jamie.
Frankie de Jong's taking a 50% pay cut not to come.
He's actually give 21 million away, so they don't want 21 million. I just don't want to go there.
I don't want to go there.
So, Jamie, just let me throw one at you then.
Go on.
What have United done business-wise to make you think, God, yeah, they're miles better than last season?
I don't think... Look, they need to do business. Don't get me wrong. They need to do business. I'm not saying that. They still need a centre mid. I feel like they've needed one for the last 15 years. They just don't seem to want to buy one. I think they've got a manager who I actually have been quite impressed with him, to be honest. I do actually think he's the type of manager that they need. Yeah. He's clearly got a way that he wants them to play. And he's not pulling punches. You see him rip it out of David De Gea for just aimlessly hoofing the ball up the pitch. There will be short-term pain, as there always is with new managers bringing in their own ideas. I actually think the squad that Manchester United have painfully underachieved. So whilst I think to bridge the gap to the top teams, they absolutely have to buy players. I actually, to get where Man United have to get to, and at the moment, United fans won't want to hear this, that's top 4. It's not challenging for the title. I think Manchester United have the squad to challenge for top 4 at the moment, and they now have a manager who can develop players, because I think that's what they've missed in the players that the managers they've had recently. They haven't had somebody who will actually develop and improve players, and I think Ten Hag will do that with Manchester United and the squad they have. So for me, I think it's the manager effect. He will improve the players that he has. I think he's obviously brought in Martinez, who will improve defensively. Man United look to shambles.
And can improve Man United defensively now.
That's what I mean. And I think it'll be a new lease of life for the front 3. I think you've seen it already in pre-season. And I wrote something for our blog there about Cristiano Ronaldo will be a blessing in disguise if he leaves Manchester United. They'll have 3 dynamic forwards who will press the life out of teams. And we've said it before, Tank, Rashford can close the distance quickly, when he's confident. I know Jimmy's shaking his head here, but, Rashford, Sancho, Martial, that's a decent front 3. That's a decent front 3, though, in terms of how he wants them to play. In terms of how he wants them to play.
Paper, so it's a great front 3.
But anyway,
not on paper.
So you sound like Love Island there, Jim.
Yeah.
My type on paper.
I just think you can't polish your turd, mate.
Yeah, it's gonna take a while. Don't get me wrong. I just think I think he will make them better. How much better?
I don't think it'll happen this season. He can't.
No.
I don't think he'll do.
I just think
people stepped up and they're just so far behind in transfers. And as you said, they've underachieved, but you get used to underachieving, don't you?
Yeah, I just think what Jimmy's just said there, you look at they're not getting to Liverpool and City. They're just not. They're nowhere near that. No matter what he comes in or who they bring in, I don't think they can get to Liverpool City's level this season, regardless who they bring in. They could bring in.
I'd agree with you, but it's a building blocks thing, and it
is. But the reason I put them where I put them, which I think they'll finish 7th or 8th, is Spurs have done good business. Arsenal's done good business. Chelsea, they have done business. I don't think Chelsea have finished. I think that's East Patter's done me out to get the owner to go out and sign. I think Chelsea will sign 3 or 4 more players. But United, I'm looking at that who they've signed the lad from Ajax, and I might be wrong here. I think he's just going out and signing players he's worked with who know his philosophy. I don't think he's going out there and saying Martinez is one of the best centre halves in world football. I think it's more of a thought process as he knows how I want to play, so we can implement it on the pitch for me.
Yeah, no, I agree. For mine, I had obviously City second. I agree with you completely on Spurs, Tank. I think they're going to be. I think they'll be a proper outfit. I think they'll change from containing teams. So if you remember how they played against Liverpool, it was very much, look, this is what I've got at the moment, so this is the way we've got to play. I think you'll see a different Spurs this season, and they'll kick on again. So I think they'll be comfortably third. And then I had a team of 3. So Arsenal, Chelsea, United in no particular order. I actually think that you could swap and change them. I actually think Arsenal have done good business. And I think if I'm a betting man now, Arsenal are going to be my team in 4th. I actually think Chelsea 5th and United 6th. But I think if United can bring in some more players, they get a little bit of the rub of the green, they could push for top 4, but at the moment, I'm going City 2nd, Spurs 3rd, Arsenal 4th, Chelsea 5th, and United 6th. Now, Jim, relegation. This was not difficult for me.
This was not. I know, and I just threw it out there quick. We've not had time to think about this, but I've gone Fulham, Bournemouth. Oh, sorry to say.
Sorry, Tank. Oh, are you going Everton?
I'm going Everton, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I think they're in the shit. I think they're big in the shit.
Yeah, I agree.
So listen, you've just been telling me that Lingard's going to be giving it all of this in the relegation battle, but they're staying up.
Last day of the season, Tank. Lingard.
Jay
Lingard's not even in the squad. Last game of the season. And yeah.
Okay.
But, I think Everton are big in trouble.
I worry more about just even hearing Lampard. Like I said it last season, Lampard is out of his depth there. It's Everton fans.
Just not what he's used to. He's not used to a relegation battle as a player. So why would he be used to it as a manager? But
Everton fans, they're like, oh, Frank understands us. No, let's get this right. He's just not Benitez. anyone that's not Benitez was going to be better for Everton fans. And you've heard Lampard coming out now, ripping the players out of it. He's got this nasty habit of throwing people under the bus, Lampard. So yeah, I don't think they'll get relegated.
To the Everton squad through the family, someone who's been in and around the first team, and he says Lampard only speaks to like 3 or 4 players.
He's got
the
his
ones
boys.
He likes. Yeah.
Jose was the same though, supposedly at Chelsea, so he's probably got that from him. Tank, who's your 3?
I'm the same as Jimmy. I think Everton are in for a shocking season.
You think they'll get relegated? Yeah,
Everton will get relegated with Fulham and Bournemouth. And with Jimmy, I think Everton finished rock bottom of the league.
Oh Jesus!
And that's not my Liverpool. And I look at that squad.
Sold the best players and brought no one in.
They've got rid of the best centre half and Richarlison, who blocks everything. No, but let's get it right. They've lost the best player in Richarlison, and from what I'm hearing, there's a few unhappy. Calvert-Lewin is looking to get out.
Calvert-Lewin's injured more than bloody.
I know.
Everyone.
He is. I think he could end up at Newcastle. I think he's desperate to get out, and I think he'll end up at Newcastle this season, Calvert-Lewin. But I do think Everton's got huge problems. And I'm with you with Lampard.
It's weird. I think Bournemouth will go. I think Fulham will go, and I think it will be between Everton and Forest for the third one. Sorry to say it, Tank. And I think what will swing it is, I think Everton will sack Lampard early. And I think they'll bring somebody in who'll be able to, I'm not going to say Sam Allardyce, but the likes of a Sean Dyche, for example. If you brought in Sean Dyche at Everton, before Christmas, because I honestly think Lampard could get sacked before Christmas. You know what I mean? And I think if they brought in a Sean Dyche, he'd keep them up, but it'll be close for me between Forest. I think it'd be close between them two. So, in the essence of time, lads, because we're an hour in, and I want to get to my final topic of the week because I want to get your opinion on it, right? So let's rattle through these, right? So, overachievers, Jim.
I've got Forest. I was looking through, and it's not well, and it's not so much because there's loads in there. I'm thinking Southampton, Villa, but they're established Premier League clubs now. They should be up there. So. I was looking at who and Forest are the standout candidates.
Tank?
Forest. I think Forest are going to have a very good season. They're going to surprise a few. The way they play.
Is there pressure on them, Tank, with what they've spent?
No, I don't think there is. I don't think there's pressure on him. I mean, he's bought himself so much time, hasn't he? What you got to look at, Jamie, is they were bottom of the league when he took over. Yeah. Bottom of the league in October. When he took over, and I'm not just talking bottom, they were about 4 or 5 points from safety, and he's just rejuvenated the club. It's a happy club. It's smiling. The fans. I mean, he gives it the Klopp thing at the end of the game and all the fans. It's like, I just think it'll be a difficult place. Look, I'm not saying for the big boys, your Chelsea's, your Liverpool's, your City's, Spurs. Them you'd expect them to go to the City ground, but. It's going to be a difficult place. They'll have a right go with the rest, and they've got a young, hungry squad, and they've just sprinkled a little bit of quality in Jessie.
My overachievers are Brighton, and the reason I'm saying Brighton is that they never Graham Potter effect. I actually think he is outstanding. They don't spend a huge amount of money, and they just go under the radar because they're just a consistently good Premier League team. I'm going to go Brighton. Underachievers, Jim.
Everton. I think they're going to be awful.
You the same, Tank?
Yeah. I think they're doomed. Honestly, at them.
Yeah, I would agree with you. And just for I suppose a little bit of a different answer as well. I think Chelsea have the potential to. I was going to put
United, but
Yeah, I think putting them in 8th is probably enough damage for today, Jim. Top scorer. I don't know if we'll have much disagreement here. Go on.
Haaland.
No chance.
No.
Yeah, Haaland will be top goal scorer. No chance. Got to play games to be top goal scorer. Don't get me wrong, you score goals. But how can you go in Salah? He's averaging 31 goals a season since he's been in.
You said he was in decline not long ago, Tank. Bloody hell.
Jimmy, listen,
never seen someone change their mind so quick.
I'm obsessed with his abs.
In decline, and now he's top goal scorer and Ballon d'Or winner.
No. I said about Fowler when he may have a point, but when he signed his new deal, that point went away. It's nil a point. I think he's looked sharp pre-season, and
yes.
how can you not put him in? He's been there 5 seasons. He's averaged 31 goals a season. It's a joke.
Yeah, on the Salah thing, I agree with Tank, right? I do think it will be Salah, and I think the difference, like Haaland will score so many goals. He could be getting 3s and 4s in games, but it's just, is he going to play consistently across the course of the season? Salah never misses games. And the one thing I would say about Salah, like Tank, I've been watching, excuse me, I've been watching a lot of the training footage. He seems like a player reborn. The contract stuff is behind him. He's laughing and joking. He's honestly, I seen a shooting drill the other day. It was like he's a joke. Like the guy is a joke. So I honestly think we're going to see a special season from Mo Salah. So yeah, I'm going Mo Salah. Young talent, Jim.
Conor Gallagher. I hope he has a good season at Chelsea. I hope he gets some games. I thought he was unbelievable for Crystal Palace. I know he had that penalty miss the other day.
Did you see that? It's a bad one.
It was bad. But I think if he gets games and he'll start playing for Chelsea and England, I think he'll be the one.
Tank.
Carvalho, Liverpool, young kid. I've been raving about him for a long time. 2 years on here. And there's nothing to change my mind from what I've seen in pre-season. He's been a standout player. I think he'll have a serious amount of games for us this season and contribution.
I actually had Carvalho as well, or Harvey Elliott, because I think what you see.
Look outside of Liverpool, lads. Don't you?
I know. I'm sorry, but I have to be honest. I just think Harvey Elliott doesn't get spoken about enough. Pre-injury, he was Liverpool's best player.
He's keeping your mate off the team.
Yeah, he was.
He's keeping Thiago off the team, and I'm mad.
Yeah, he was, and I think you're looking at pre-season now as well. Supposedly he's been unbelievable. You've said it as well, Tank. The stories that you've been hearing, he's been lighting up the place. So him and Carvalho, and I just think the story, the romance behind it. Two mates growing up, played together for years. Now at Liverpool, I don't know. I just think there's this clambering that Liverpool need centre mids, and whilst I know what you're saying, Tank, you could go out and get a Bellingham now or whatever. It sounds like Liverpool are trying to work on a deal where you sign a pre-contract and then he comes next year. I actually don't think Liverpool will struggle as much in midfield this year, because I actually think the likes of those two will come in. I think Curtis Jones will kick on again this season. I actually think Liverpool are quite well stocked in that area, and I'm excited to see particularly how those two youngsters do. Now, to finish, lads, one to watch. Jim?
Easy.
I've gone for Sinistera for Leeds. I think he'll be their new Rafinha. From what I've seen in the Dutch league, he's quick, he's direct, he's he's very much like Rafinha in the aspects of what he's got now.
Did you Google him, Jim?
No. I've got him on FIFA, lad.
Oh, have you?
But no, I think he's a great player, and he's like I said, he's
stop throwing great player out, Jimmy. Like, it's just like great players. Let's like put into concept. A great player is Raheem.
He's playing in the Premier League.
He's a great player, Raheem Sterling. He's not a world-class player.
Not be a great player.
No, they're good players. These lads are good players.
Yeah, he's a good player. Then he's a good player. Then
good player. Okay,
good. He's all right.
Is Timo Werner still great though?
Mate, Timo Werner's a baller.
Oh God, Tank, who's yours?
Brennan Johnson, Forest.
Yeah, you're a big fan, aren't you?
Yeah, the kicker. I played with his own man, and he's better than his own man already. No, the kid, I think he's a bit similar to the lad who Jimmy's just been talking about there.
Try his name there, Tank.
His name, try.
No, Barry. I just call him Barry. But no, Brennan's, he's quick, he's direct, I've seen him in the championship. He gets kicked, he's back up, he's at you, and he's just relentless, and he can score goals. And I think he'll improve again with another season under his belt. I think he'll have a good season for Forest when Forest finish comfortably mid-table this season.
My one to watch is not one that's overly exciting, but I just think he'll have a bloody good season, and he's exactly what they need. Is Gabrielle Jesus of Arsenal. I just think even pre-season, just scores goals. Yeah. Scores goals. Pep made a comment the other day about his ability to defend from the front.
People do take into account blocks and tackles.
I feel like this is going to be a theme between you two this season.
We'll get back on Twitter. We'll have this on Twitter.
Yeah, keyboard warriors we are.
But yeah, no, I just think I actually really rate him. I think he's a great finisher. A lot of the time he was playing out wide. I think as an out-and-out number 9, I think he's going to get a shed load of goals. And I think he could be a little hidden gem for the old fantasy football crew out there. I think he'll be one to rack up some numbers.
His goals to game's better than Sterling,
Is it?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, Pep was a big fan. So yeah, he's mine. Now, lads, I'm going to finish off on so what turned out to be my win of the week, right? And it kind of then turned into my question of the week, right? Now, I bought so luxury purchases, right? Is what I want to finish on. I've been on a bit of a health kick for the last few months, training properly, trying to eat well. And I've seen, like everyone on Instagram, you know, these fitness influencers, and they're all cooking up this chicken in an air fryer, right? And I was like, I'll have to get one of them. It's meant to be healthier, food's meant to taste good, all that stuff. Lads, when I say that this product is changing my life, like I went downstairs and cooked me missus and her mum dinner just so I could use the air fryer again. Last night, we put a full chicken in the air fryer. And when I say like limited prep, I just put a bit of seasoning on it, whacked it in the air fryer, pressed one button, and in 15, 20 minutes, it was the nicest tasting chicken with no fat, no oils, nothing, super healthy. Supposedly, like people are putting like anything in there, I'm supposedly not anything. Kids, the lot, they're all just getting lobbed in there.
It tastes great.
But so honestly, I put up a picture on Instagram. I turned into like a proper Instagram wanker if I wasn't one already. I was like doing
what do you mean turned?
Before and after shots of me chicken, but everyone was like, you won't use your oven again. So for I think it was 220 quid I paid. That is my product that has been a game changer. And I actually ordered an Amazon cookbook specific for fucking air fryers before. I'm that much of a goon.
What is it though? How does surely just chuck stuff in and press the button? Like what?
That's it, lad. That's all you do.
No, but that's my point. What's the cookbook tell you? Right, get a chicken, chuck it in, press on.
No, but it's like the prep of the chicken and all that, like breadcrumbs and all that.
Chuck
all about
what? Chuck some bloody.
Don't be ruining my air fryer now, Jim. Let me.
I'm with you on the air fryer, mate. It's your cookbook.
You got one, Tank?
We've got one, and we actually the missus the other day done. This sounds like a bit of a kid, but she done like chicken nuggets, and what she done is she done something. She got like these pop chips, like barbecue flavor pop chips. Crushed them all and wrapped them all around, and I don't know what she stuck them.
See the coating. Anyway. This is what I mean.
That's
the seasoning. It's
and
key,
she put some Cajun spice on and just threw them in the air fryer, and like 15 minutes, and these were the best nuggets you'll ever have in your life. And she puts chips and everything in them. She's done a load of potatoes.
Yeah, I've been told that the chips taste like Mackey's chips.
Unreal. But yeah, so I'm with you on that one, mate. We've got it downstairs. They're brilliant.
So what about you two then, lads? What's been your luxury purchase that has been a game changer, Jim?
I wouldn't say it's luxury, but what I'm big on is smart plugs. So Alexa runs my house. So I have smart plugs on all the lamps. I have smart plugs on my kettle. So
what? You don't press your kettle on yourself?
No, well, I have to because it's not a smart kettle. What I have to do is turn the plug off.
So what he does, Jamie, he says, Alexa, put the kettle on. Then he gets up and puts the kettle on.
No, well, yeah, that's what I would have to do. But what I do, it's more for the morning. So at night, I put it down so it's switched on, but it's not on. And when I turn the plug on, it'll start boiling. So in the morning, when I can't be.
You know how ridiculous this sounds, yeah?
Yeah.
So this is my point. So like I got all that. I can turn my lights on and off from here, but it comes Christmas time. So when it comes to Christmas time, I have like my house is like National Lampoon with all the lights. Yeah, like lit up everywhere. So they're all switched on via the smart timers. They come on at 5 o'clock at night. They go off at midnight. They come on early in the morning for an hour so people can see them. It's just everything in my house is run by smart plugs.
Still, for another podcast, we're gonna have to revisit that kettle thing because I'm not getting that.
It's just in the morning, right? You've
got to get up and switch that plug on at the
moment. No. So what you do?
Alexa comes out of the machine and switches it on.
No, you're not listening. So the kettle plug plugs into a plug, right? So you can switch that plug on with a touch of a button. So there's a little button on top. So you turn the plug off.
It's called the switch, like
But all right. So it's plugged in, ready to go. You put the switch down on the kettle. It's not boiling, but it's down. So when I say, Alexa, turn the kettle on, it switches the smart plug on, so it starts to boil. So I don't have to wait downstairs with my willy hanging out while I'm making the coffees. The kettle's boiled by the time I'm downstairs, ready to go. Okay, less time. Time management, smart.
Tank, what about you?
Well, listen, mine's me sit on lawnmower, mate. It's a luxury item, which
Yeah, you're a big fan of that, aren't you?
Oh, look, honestly, it's like I'm a big kid for stupid stuff like this, but you know, I just love it, and it's just me and Frankie go out 2-3 times a week. I've got the best lawn in the world because it's like that. Should we go out? And I bought it in lockdown. And the garden's big, and you've got the paddock at the back, and honestly, it's a backbreaker with the normal thing. So when COVID hit full effect, I was like, I looked through, and it was like it was reduced from about £3,000 to 900 quid, and I was like, I have to get that.
Yeah,
you know, for 900 quid, I have to get it, and it's been the best thing I've ever bought. Just like,
how long does it take you to do all the garden?
But the mate or the paddock? Do you mean the paddock?
Oh, sorry, there. Fucking hell. Fucking Richie Rich here.
to do the main garden, it's like it's a good half hour on it. You know, sitting on the tractor, like, but it's just fucking, it's brilliant. He loves it. He's driving it, and I'm just like sat there on my phone messing about while he's driving it. It's slave labour really for Frankie, but I've got him a tractor to do it.
Yeah, mate, I'd love one of them. I would.
You're a stripe. You're into your real grass as well. I actually shout out to. I have to say, some of the chat that we've had this week on the social media has been great. Off the back of our Man Jobs episode last week, and I've learned from Tom and Murph that they hoover their fake grass. I didn't know that was a thing. So that's one I'm going to be testing out. Hoover the grass, and you can get like a brush that makes it all nice and fluffy again. Yeah, I do have a bit of AstroTurf. Lads, before we finish, any final thoughts to leave us on, Jim? Yeah, don't ban heading, ban penalties in kids' games, because it's 10 times worse for me than it is them heading the ball. Why? What happened? Penalty shootout on Sunday in a tournament, mate. It was horrible. 8-year-olds, mate. Did he score? No, he missed. Oh, He missed his first one, but he went back round again because the other lad missed. So he took the next one and scored. Oh, to be fair, he hit it top bins and hit the stanchion and bounced out. Yeah. It was horrible. It's a horrible situation. What about you, Tank? Any final thoughts? No. Enjoyed it again, lads. Right, with that, thank you everybody for listening, for watching. If you could, as always, leave us a review, a rating, and if you could subscribe to our YouTube channel, that would be very much appreciated and help us spread the word of the podcast ahead of the new season. As always, I just mentioned it there, keep your feedback coming. We're really enjoying getting involved on stuff on social media. So yeah, let us know your thoughts on this episode, and if you wouldn't mind, share it with one of your mates. So with that, I hope you all enjoy the rest of your week. Look after yourselves, and we will be back with you again next week on the Boot Room Podcast. All the best, boys. Cheers, lads. Cheers, boys.